All right, everybody, a little pre-podcast context here. So in today's podcast, I'm joined by Chad Belding from the Fowl Life. Now, our original plan was to talk about advanced goose hunting tactics. That got completely derailed from the start, and Chad and I just started chatting and rolling, and we left the record button going, and we ended up, recording an inadvertent podcast, but we cover a lot of really cool ground, some really important ground. We talk a lot about what Chad has been up to lately, some amazing stories that he's covered, some amazing people that he's met through his journey of duck hunting and creating duck hunting content, and the people he's met along the way, the stories he's been able to tell and be part of along the way, amazing organizations that he's been involved with, people who have influenced his life, and it's all because of hunting. And that's the common thread tying all these great things together is the hunting. So I encourage you to tune in, to listen in to this really cool podcast. Like I said, it was just a super fun conversation. It was a powerful conversation. At times it was a deep conversation, an emotional conversation. So all the things and all these, different facets to hunting that I'm talking about here are what make hunting so great. We talk a lot about, tactics and how to on the podcast, and we don't always get into some of the deeper things that are connected to when you are in the field. So, like I said, just cool conversation. Listen in. Hopefully you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed chatting with Chad. And, it was a good one.
He is as happy as I've ever seen a human being because he's not thinking about what he went through. His sister's not thinking about it. She's singing, she's hunting, she's dressed in camo, they're high-fiving. And I look over at the dad and he's bawling. And I go, that's life right there. Like this is him seeing his son do what he always wanted him to do. And it's because of hunting.
How you been, man?
Going nonstop, buddy. Like I've been traveling more than I ever have. I think COVID laying down and the demand to be places was part of it, but I'm just having so much fun, man. The opportunity to go to upstate New York, and we took these firefighters from 9/11 out of the Harlem firehouse. They met us up in upstate New York, probably 7 hours north of the city. Got to know these two brothers. One of them, Jim Hodges, his brother's Bo Hodges. Bo's a current FDNY. Jim just retired. Jim's first day on the job was 9/11. Just come out of the academy. And for the first 15 months of his tenure at FDNY, he stood on top of that rubble, unburying dead bodies, looking for survivors. So what we did is we went there with a focus on telling the story. We all have heard the story. We've all seen it. But a lot of people, maybe your age, you're at least 10 years younger than me. But I haven't forgot 9/11. But a lot of people don't even get to study about it. They don't hear about it. They don't really know what happened. I've heard people say that they bombed the towers. There wasn't bombed. It is
weird. I mean, to your point, like I know people. Like for me, that'd be like, it's like I know people that I work with, and for them, 9/11 might as well be World War II. It's like
100%.
And it's like, whoa, like you don't like, holy shit. Like I remember when that, like I watched, it's terrible. It was like, you will not forget it, dude. I watched that second plane hit. You're like, oh my gosh, a plane hit. And then you're like, wait a minute too. Like this wasn't an accident,
No, it wasn't an accident. And that's the thing is that being there, and they took me out on harbor boats with NYPD, and I got to see Manhattan. And it was so eerie being in the museum, being in the tribute, seeing the new Freedom Tower. And then knowing which direction those planes came from and picturing it. I had never been to the city. And then to do it the way I got to do it with FDNY and being on the harbor boats and having police escorts. But our main intention, Mark, was since 9/11, where 343 first responders died, mainly FDNY, died, 343. There's been 377 that have died. Now, maybe more. The two more died on the Saturday I was leaving New York. And they're dying from just like what Jim Hodges is going through. He's been sick for years. He had to take an early retirement because of breathing in all of that stuff for that long. He is messed up. So they had just lost a 51-year-old chief that died of cancer, had 3 kids. So our story is going to be 9/11 continues to affect our heroes. So they come up, they hunt with us, then they take us down to Harlem. We're in the trucks, we're at the firehouse. We cook duck jambalaya in the firehouse, and we're literally serving it up. That place is nicknamed the Zoo. Harlem's nicknamed the Zoo because back in the day, all the firefighters, it's the busiest firehouse in New York, so they all gave themselves animal nicknames like the tiger, the lion, all this stuff. So it became the Zoo. Well, they eat out of dog bowls. Seriously, like just regular aluminum dog bowls you would get at Petco. And we're serving up this duck jambalaya, and a call comes in. And Bo grabs the foil, and he starts tearing off foil, and he starts putting it over all of the food. And I said, well, what are you doing? And he says, because Bo wasn't on duty that day. He was just in there filming with us. He says, we don't eat until we all eat. If one guy's out on a call, none of us eat. I said, well, what if it's like a 3-hour fire? He goes, we don't eat until they get back. So we covered up all of the meals, and they sat there until they all got back 45 minutes later. And then we all sat down and ate as a family. We filmed this whole thing. We got to document the whole thing. So just opportunities like that to go and tell these stories and meet these people are what keeps us going. The Canada goose hunt was amazing.
Yeah.
15 geese per day, no plug in your gun, killing molt migrators coming out of Ottawa. And then to sit there in a firehouse and go out on the harbor and the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island and the Freedom Tower. And we saw New York, like, I would never go back if I didn't have these escorts. Like, it was the most amazing way to experience it, right? And on the last 6 days, my daughter came in, and I had a police escort the entire time for her. So, like, literally, we just got to go everywhere. We got to see it and listen to the stories of what happened that day. Just an amazing experience. So before that was Texas and the Blue Wing Teal. Then we went to California for opening day specs with Safari Club International, and things have been just, they just continue to keep me going like that. So I don't want to slow down anytime soon.
No, man. I mean, you are built for that pace. I don't know how you do it, man, but holy dude, I got emotional like 3 times when you're talking about all that stuff. Like, I mean, that's a lot.
Oh, dude, going to dinner with their wives and their kids, and hearing Jim, 43 years old, he goes, I know it's not if, it's when, that he's going to die from this disease. I mean, he's 43. He knows he's got probably maybe 10 years at the most left. It's sad. And we went to the Yankees games, the last 3 games of the regular season. So just an incredible experience to all because of a duck. Because I'm not saying that I wouldn't have gone and paid homage to 9/11 someday and went and visited the museum, but to be able to bring our production crews in there and sit down and interview these guys that some of these firefighters' dads died in 9/11 and they still became firefighters. Like that's how unbelievable NYPD is. And we forgot about it in a way as a country, to where 60 Minutes did a heck of a piece on it this year. They truly did. But for the most part, I talked to my daughter. They really don't even know what 9/11 is. She's 12 years old. She'll be 12 in December. They don't teach it in our schools out west. That should be in history books every single year, every single grade of over 4,000 people dying in one day on American soil. It's unheard of. So anyway, all because of a duck and a goose and the hunting culture, these experiences continue to happen, and that's what I love about it.
Yep, for sure, man. It's funny, like you said, whether it's a duck, a goose, a deer, whatever, it brings you to places and people you just otherwise would not meet or experience or endure, or it's amazing, And I think that's what a lot of people that don't hunt they don't comprehend a lot of things about hunting, but they certainly don't comprehend, the level and those, like, I guess I'll use the word ancillary, but they're as meaningful as anything else, those other things that are attached into the whole experience, like you said. But it starts with, a duck.
Yeah. Starts with just the waterfowl and the passion for that. And again, here's the deal. It's like, you have to, like, the forward thinking that goes into it, to where that's my job. Like, we got invited. I was at Habitat Flats in Missouri, hunting with Tony Vandemore, and one of his guides, Matt Williams, we hit it off. I had never met this kid. Just a great dude, man. Just like, you would never have a bad day around this guy. He's one of those guys. He's almost like a hippie, but a conservative hunter, like a guy that I want to be around. And he's like, man, you need to come up and hunt in New York in September with my boy, Nick. And I'm like, dude, I've never hunted in New York. I'd love it. So we start talking. And Nick's like, yeah, I own this place called Basswood Lodge. It's up here in Anzalere Falls, up on the St. Lawrence River. It's beautiful up here. I'd love to have you. Big fan of the show. So I'm thinking, like, I'm going to New York. I'm going to kill geese. A monkey can kill a Canada goose if you practice. New York's been hunted. Fred Zink's documented it. Tim Ground's documented it. People have been there. So I'm not breaking any, through any walls here. I'm not a trailblazer at all. So I said, I got to do something with 9/11. And that's when I called Nick. I said, Nick, what do you think about getting FDNY involved in NYPD? And he goes, bro, I freaking love it. He said, I got the guy for you. Just like that in a phone call.
Bam.
He introduces me to Jim Hodges, who has been a 15-year client of his lodge, coming up there to hunt ducks and geese 2 to 3 times a year with his brother, Bo. They introduced me to the, I don't know if he's VP or whatever, Director of Communications for NYPD. I start working through him, get all of our media credentials and all that, and bam, we're on. We're parking our 28-foot goose trailer in the side parking lot, which took some talent, I have you say, Mark, that in Harlem. And if you can picture Harlem Nights, the movie with Eddie Murphy, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
I don't know if I've seen that.
That's what when 2 little black girls are playing double dutch with the jump ropes, and somebody's rapping and beatboxing on the sidewalk, and you got a hot dog vendor over here, and you got all this loudness. Like, it's the best thing, the best culture I've ever seen. It's like, this is Harlem. This is unbelievable. And they're running up to us going, man, that trailer's awesome. I'm like, what's up? And we're hugging, and we're just like, it was an amazing show of culture, of how these firefighters were treated by the locals. They're coming up, giving them meals. Haven't seen you in a week. What's up? And they give them meals. And they're like, hey, man, this lady down here cooks the best soul food we've ever eaten. She comes down and brings it to us. And I'm just like, wow, dude, this is America. Most people that do what I do for a living, even you would say you could keep the city. You could keep New York City. I ain't going there. Bro, I'll go back. I'll go back so many times. It was an amazing experience. And we're parking our trailer at the Harlem Firehouse, and we're filming and recording, and we had an audience the whole time of all these locals that were so interested in what we were doing. It was just a feel good part of the job, And so I think that if people understood how hunting brings so many different walks of life together on a daily basis and provides therapy for people, because Jim and Bo, knowing what they went through, they didn't die in 9/11, but they lost a lot of friends. They lost loved ones. They lost family. And now they're sick, and they're going to die young, they think.
Mm-hmm.
The therapy that in that goose blind provides, it's like you would never think that they went through a day of a bad wheel in their life. It's like therapy in the duck blind or the turkey woods or the deer stand is everything. And that's the message that I want to keep spreading is like, yeah, we do kill animals, and here's why, but we do really appreciate all this stuff that comes with the lifestyle and what hunting truly means to people. And from us working with St. Jude's to Ronald McDonald's House to FDNY now, and I can name tons of military organizations, that's what it's been all about for me. I feel like we're on a podcast right now. I don't know if you're recording or not, but
Ryan, I hope we are. Are we recording right now? Yeah, we're good. So we got the. I was thinking the exact same thing. I was like, you couldn't have said so many good things or said them better or more accurately. I mean, that is just a ton of special stuff. I mean, this experience, I don't know, you've had so many, or this experience or this show, like where does this one rank for you in the grand scheme of all the shows and stuff that you've done? It sounds like a top number 1, top 10. I don't know. It just sounds so unbelievably special,
Yeah, and the aftermath of it, the lifelong friendships, the messages that I've received from Bo and Jim, and if I showed you these messages from these 2 NYPD, Mr. Mike and Mr. Tim Quinn worked across the street from the towers on the day they went down, and to hear this 55-year-old man cry in the car this many years later, and I'm sitting there because of waterfowl hunting, and this guy knows who I am. He knows what I do, but he's not privy to a lot of the things I've seen. So it's not like he's trying to prove himself to me. It's just a really organic conversation about what that day did to him as a human being. And the things that he's gone through since then, of the PTSD that we don't even consider PTSD unless we hear of military and war, right? PTSD comes in so many different forms, and to hear these guys of how their life has been affected by it, the friends they lost, to see the devastation that occurred that day, you don't have any idea until you actually sit down with these guys, or you actually stand on that soil and visualize it. And I'm not saying that it's anything compared to being there that day or the days that came after that, but until I got there and felt it in my bones of what this day did to New York City, to mankind, to humankind, to the human race, to America, it just blew my mind. So to rank it, I would say that the chills it sent up, that I've never had that many chills. I would say when we got to go to Memphis, Tennessee, and work with Ronald McDonald House and learn the story of how the Ronald McDonald House came into existence from an ex-NFL football player, and how they have aligned with St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, and what Danny Thomas did with why he put it in Memphis, why he put it on the river system there on the Mississippi River, what his outlook was and his ideology and his mindset was of, this is where I'm going to build this hospital and we're going to cure childhood cancer someday. And to go in there and do that and walk those halls where they call it Angel Hall in St. Jude's and see all the kids that they say, quote unquote, have earned their wings. Ugh. And to know that my daughter is healthy, and you ask, well, why not me? That kind of question. It makes you cherish your kids, first of all, but then to be at the Ronald McDonald House where they give everything to the families going through this. No rent due. You get free room, free meals. You can go see your kid, but while you're there going through the chemo or the radiation or the testing or the diagnosis period, whatever it is, they take care of you 100%, and it's all done through charitable donations, blankets, toys, everything that you can do. Please give to Ronald McDonald House for St. Jude. So we go in there, and we get to meet a family that is from the state of Louisiana, and I met a family from Peoria, Illinois. The Peoria, Illinois mom was going through hell with her daughter in her arms, bald-headed. I'm holding this little girl. She's literally dying. And they're looking to save her through her treatment. And I get to know her. So I stay in touch with her mom. And I get updates constantly now of what's going on in this girl's life. And it's all positive because of the studies, the research, all that. So because of hunting, I get to have that friendship and know that this girl's doing good. I get to send her cards and gifts and say hello once in a while. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I have this Louisiana family who I meet the dad and the mom, you can go back and see and listen to a podcast I did with them, but I get to go to them and offer them because their son, who was a starting center on his football team in Pop Warner, woke up with a headache behind his eye one day and said, Mom, my eye hurts. I have a headache. She goes, it'll be fine. Send him to school. Comes home, goes to sleep, wakes up the next day, says, Mom, my headache's still there. And she says, man, I wonder what's up. Well, she worked in the medical field and she had an idea something's going on. And sure enough, he had a tumor in his brain. And he went through, I can't even tell you how many, it was 3 operations with over 40 rounds of radiation and chemo. And this kid does not even look the way that he did when he was playing football. He lost 100% of his motor skills. He's now 12 at this time, learning how to talk again. His name's Grant. He has a sister named Alyssa. His mom and dad are beautiful people from Louisiana. And I said, hey, only because he's 5 years at this time, when they don't say he's not in omission and they just call him cancer-free. That's what they say. Okay. He's 5 years cancer-free. He's allowed to go hunting with me. I said, this family's a hunting family. So I invite him on a mallard duck hunt and a lesser Canada goose hunt in Oklahoma with Flatline Outfitters, and they come, the whole family. Well, first it was the dad and the son. Then they called me and said, the mom and the sister want to go. I said, heck yeah, bring them all. So we get our sponsors and partners to underwrite this trip for them, get their hotels, come out, and Grant's in the blind. This is all documented on the Fowl Life. We're singing. Alyssa's a singer, his daughter. We're singing. Grant can barely talk. We have to hold him up, and I have to hold the stock of the gun, the forearm of the gun, and I push it into his shoulder while his dad helps him look down the barrel. He's shooting at mallard ducks. The dogs are retrieving him. He's holding them up, and he's literally he is as happy as I've ever seen a human being. because he's not thinking about what he went through. His sister's not thinking about it. She's singing, she's hunting, she's dressed in camo, they're high-fiving. And I look over at the dad and he's bawling. And I go, that's life right there. Like this is him seeing his son do what he always wanted him to do. And it's because of hunting. It's because the heart of a hunter has the ability to see further into a situation. I'm not saying that other walks of life don't, but hunters get a bad rap and they never get the chance to showcase the fact that we can see deeper into situations and what really is touching people, the heartfelt moments, the emotional twists that go in to all of these experiences. And hunting, when you're in that blind in God's country and Mother Nature's doing what she does, and it's a blue sky with wind and cold temps, and the mallards are acting like mallard ducks, and they're giving it up over the spinning wing mojo or over the decoys, and and Grant's got a duck call and he's trying to blow it. He's blowing it like a party horn, but he's still trying, and he's part of the hunt. And then you wrap it all up with a picture, and he makes a business proposal to me on camera that he wants to start a sauce company, and he's going to be the majority owner in a Grant. It's going to be a Grant's dipping sauce. I don't want to butcher the name of it. I can't really right now. It's off the top of my head. I can't remember the exact name, but Grant names the company. He gives me minority equity in the company, says he's going to be the controlling member. And he's high-fiving me saying, we're going to sell this sauce. We're going to dip our duck in it. And he's so excited about life. And he's doing great today. He's coming along. He's trying to get his motor skills back and get strong again. He'll never play football again. Well, you can't say never, but the odds are against him. But to see the life put back into a family, not 100% because of us. I don't want anybody to ever think that, it was because of the heart of a hunter, the heart of many hunters, and people that get involved and aren't afraid to say, you know what, we're going to go to Memphis and we're going to walk these halls and we're going to learn what's going on. Because when you see the infomercial come on and you see the kids, it might just be, well, I've seen that commercial before, send the money. No, if you get involved and you actually see what's going on, you're going to be like, this will become one of the most important checks that I write all year. This will become one of the most important plane rides I take all year to go visit them. Or if you have the ability to do a St. Jude's or a Ronald McDonald or a Make-A-Wish hunt. I just saw that John Cena had 619 or something Make-A-Wish trips. This man is a WWE wrestler, actor, and he's making kids' dreams come true that might not have a chance to live past 8 or 9. And that's the heart of the human spirit that I hope that people can look through. The animal dying, the trigger being pulled, the arrow being sent downfield. I hope that people can look past the part that we do harvest our food and know that there's more to a hunter, male and female, young and old, qualified, experienced, rookie, newbie, whatever it is. There is more to this than just taking a picture with a dead animal. I am not against memories and taxidermy and photos of your hunt. Excuse me. But I hope people would take the time to go, you know what? That's pretty awesome right there. That is not about them. It's not about the brands. The sponsors don't even want to be named in the stuff. It's just the actual fact that hunting is giving back. And if I went on and on, I could tell you about special teams members that have lost all of their short-term memory by taking shrapnel to the left side of the brain and never could go back and be in theater or be in war and be with their brothers and sisters. And that the duck blind provided them therapy. That when they got their boots back on human soil, I said, that's one of the questions I always ask military, Mark. I say, when your boots hit American soil, what do you think about? And 99% of the time, it's family. And it's followed right behind by the woods, the marsh. They have this connection. There's a song by a band called Whiskey Myers called Frogman. And there's a line in that song about being on a cold mountain creek catching fish. And when they're over in theater and they're knocking down doors or they're performing their missions, that's what they're thinking about. They're wondering if they're ever going to see that again or see that trout or that brookie or that brown trout or rainbow trout on the end of their fly line. And they're thinking about those mallard ducks or that wild boar or that turkey goblin or that whitetail with the freaking steam coming out of its mouth when he does that. What other the sounds you deer hunters make? I'll let you go in on that. But but the experiences that we've seen with New York and military and St. Jude's and Ronald McDonald House, and I can go on and on of fighter jet pilots that have been in camp and janitors that have been in camp. You know, we've had all different walks of life that when you see their human spirit reflected, it's hard to judge a book by the cover. Hunting teaches you. You can't judge a book by the cover, man. I thought I would never guess you have a man bun and you wear skinny jeans that you were this qualified with the bow and arrow and you've killed this many deer and you feed this many homeless shelters. I've met those hipsters that do that. And I'm just like, I passed judgment on you and I shouldn't have. I should have gotten a duck blind with you or a deer woods or somewhere around a campfire and learned about you before I passed judgment. So hunting teaches me more and more life lessons every day than school ever did, than college ever did. I'm not saying education's not important, but the education of the woods and the marshes and the mountains and the rim rocks and the chuckers and the elk and the moose and the ducks and the geese and the pheasant and all of it. They have taught me so many life lessons of the human spirit, the heart of a hunter, the heart of a human being, kids, what therapeutic achievements that hunting achieves with these different individuals. I'm blown away by it. And that's what keeps me going every day. As we're filming right now for season 15 of The Fowl Life. And every single day I'm thinking, who can we meet? What stories can we tell? I want to be able to tell stories because this is what it does, Mark. I'll end it by saying this. Hunting humbles us. I'm going to be humble my whole life. But if you go out there and go, I'm the best duck caller in the world. I haven't missed a shot at 60 yards with my bow. I got a 270 short mag that I could kill anything at 350. You'll get humbled in a heartbeat if you're not careful. So what hunting has done is with my ego, keeping it in check, keeping my mouth shut more, which isn't obvious today. I promise. I get that. I'm sorry. But keeping my ears open more and being a sponge, being coachable, being teachable, and what those woods have taught me and what it means to be in camp and what it means to have these opportunities to go and hunt again. That's what The Fowl Life is all about. That's what I think Vortex is all about. I think it's more than people assume it is, that you guys are killers. No. We care so much. We have so much respect for this resource. We have so much compassion for these animals. We have such a heart for the human beings that are walking the face of the earth. I wish everybody could feel what I feel when I'm in a duck blind, because all of those kids I mentioned in Harlem that were watching me back in that trailer, none of them know that there's a deer in the state of New York. They don't even have I'm asking you, there's deer. What are you doing in New York? I'm hunting. Hunting what? They don't even have a clue. So if they just had one opportunity to be mentored in the outdoors, to get confidence behind a handgun or a muzzleloader or a rifle or a shotgun or a bow, to be able to see a turkey come in and fan out and gobble, to be able to see a covey rise, a quail in Georgia or pheasants in South Dakota, to see that,
it'd be mind blowing.
They'd be mind blown. And I think that me seeing that on top of the therapy it provides for all of these folks, these kids, these adults, these families, that the mom and dad weren't sick. They were just going through hell seeing their son Grant. And they were so what's the word? They were just like what I was saying, is that the humility that it brings you, they were knocked down to their knees. And that's what I was going to end it by saying, is that hunting, the reason that you can get on that level with people, Mark Boardman, is because it brings us to our knees. When I drive into Prairie Wings Duck Camp in Arkansas and I see Mr. Billy Bogey at the stove, and I see the fire pit, and I see the mud room and the waiters hanging, and I see the boats all in their slits, I get this feeling that comes over me of like, just this is it. This is where I need to be. I'm on my knees. Just, you can ask me anything you want. I'm an open book. I'm transparent. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other. Let's figure out the world's problems, right? And that's what I think, that if people took the time to see the power of the hunt, the power of the camp, the power of the resource, the power of those animals, what they do to us, then they would have a better appreciation for what companies like Vortex and the other companies that I see behind you, what they're doing for this cherished culture and lifestyle on a daily basis. Because I want my daughter and her kids and my grandkids and on down the generational line, I want them to see what those mallard ducks do to them in Arkansas, or those Canada geese on the Front Range of Colorado, or that moose up in British Columbia. or that whitetail in Saskatchewan. I've been to all of those places. I've seen it all. I've been to all over South America and in Uruguay and Paraguay and Argentina and Peru and Chile. And you go down there and the locals, you know what they love to do? They love to look at your face and know that you're happy because of the way their rosy bill duck empanadas taste. You bring your ducks back to them and they go to work and you're going, this is some of the best food I've ever tasted. And the locals down there are high-fiving you and hugging, and your family by the time you leave there. They're your family. So that my whole point is like, there's nothing to be taken for granted in this hunting culture. You ask about the top 10, it's hard to say because I love Grant. I love his mom and dad. I love his sister Alyssa. My daughter's first hunt blew my mind. She's 8 years old, 410, right to left shot in 30-mile-an-hour winds on a canvasback bull. One shot, headshot, smokes. An 11-year-old yellow lab swims back. He's owned by, at that time, a 78-year-old duck hunter named Les Nesbitt, who is in the North America Hall of Fame for the North America 29 Boone and Crockett. He's done it. He's been there, done that. He's 78. You know what happens when that duck gets in the boat? My daughter Alyssa is crying. I'm crying. And I look at Les, 78. He's 82 now. Still hunting like a maniac. Still working out like a maniac. Amazing human being. You need to have him on your podcast someday because he uses Vortex.
All right.
I look at Les, and he's freaking crying. And he's 78. He's been hunting ducks. He's killed the biggest elk. He's killed 2 400-inch elk. He's killed 3 200-inch mule deer, 280-inch whitetail. The guy's been there, done that. I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying this canvasback brought him to his knees. Right. A little duck. It's big for a duck, but it's a little animal. And his dog brought it back. He pulls his wet dog into the boat because the dog's too old to do it himself anymore. And Les is crying, Alyssa's crying, I'm crying. I look at Remy Warren, a mutual friend of us, and Remy's crying. And you know everything Remy Warren's seen and achieved in hunting. And that is the power of the hunt. That is the power of a duck. That is the power of Mother Nature and the gods above us, and whoever you pray to, that's up to you. But I know who I pray to, and I know who I talk to on a daily basis. My dad, who passed away in 2006, was looking down on us, watching his granddaughter do that, and I'm sitting there going, this is why we're out here. Not because that duck died. That duck gave up his life for this moment right here. Not to mention it's going to provide a great high-protein and rich diet for us and a meal. But I talk to Les about that all the time. Why? What the heck, Les? You've done it all. He goes, buddy, they got me choked up. He goes, I can't explain it. He said, this lifestyle is like no other. He says to be there on that day meant to him as much as any of those polar bears and grizzly bears and black bears and caribou. You know the North American 29. He did it all. And he said it meant as much to him as any of those did. And that mixed with Grant, mixed with NYPD, mixed with military, and Chief Jake Young, who lost his short-term memory as a SEAL Team 6 member of our Navy SEALs, to see that happen in a duck blind, I don't think that there's any movie. George Lucas can't match it. Leonardo DiCaprio, Francis Ford Coppola, even though Godfather is genius. I don't think that any movie director, nobody on Broadway, which I saw Hamilton when I was in New York City, and it's an amazing talent. There's no artist, Van Gogh. There's nobody in Italian history, Da Vinci or anybody that can create, invent, trademark, patent, anything of the magic of the hunt. And that's why I keep doing it. And I think that's why I love having conversations with guys like you and love having you, what we experienced. We became better friends because of a duck hunt in Wisconsin, which is everything compared to a zoo, which is cool with the phone call. But when me and Mark Boardman got in that duck blind and we're hugging and high-fiving when the mallard ducks are doing it nasty, there's nothing that can replace that. No, we could have been at Talladega. We could have got a hole-in-one at Pebble Beach. We could have hit a home run with Aaron Judge in the World Series. None of it matches what we experienced that day with those mallard ducks. And that's why hunting means the world to me.
Well, I mean, you look at that, and I want to jump back, but while we're talking about that hunt, that was basically, I'd say nearly a year ago, like almost to the day. We're probably like a week early from that being a year ago. I couldn't necessarily, yesterday was typical work day, whatever. What was the weather like? I don't know, I guess whatever. Or what do I remember about yesterday? I remember some stuff I did with my kids in the afternoon, whatever. But I can tell you what the air felt like that day. I can tell you the vibe in the blind. I can tell you how the ducks worked. I can tell you the adjustments that you guys made to make those ducks work. I can remember the call. I can remember the retrieves. What other things are that impactful a single day that a year later you can remember darn near every detail? And in this entire conversation, Chad, yes, in some ways we've talked a lot about hunting, right? But it's not like none of it's been like how to get them, which we talk a lot about, like how to get them on the podcast, right? I mean, when you go out, it's like, yeah, that's the goal, right?
Yep.
But the hunt, like you said several times, that is the catalyst for all of these other amazing, impactful, grounding, perspective giving, giving a person clarity on, what is important in life. And you talk about, and I won't even begin to put myself in the shoes of our military that's gone overseas, that's been put in those scenarios and had those experiences. But hearing you talk about like what they think about, it's like, okay, so what do you think about? Well, I think about my family, I think about my friends, and I think about the outdoors. It's like, I mean, that's when you go. We get a lot of clutter and a lot of trivial things in our life, and your health, the health of your family, friends, everybody, right? You want everybody to be healthy. You don't want anybody to go through some of these things that, I mean, heck, I've been choked up about 10, 20 times now, and then I ask you about, so man, was this one in your top 10? It's like the hunting has been the catalyst for you to have 10,000 top 10s. Like you can't even all these special experiences and you
know what I didn't mention, Mark, is that you talk about top 10s. I name dropping is a dangerous thing to me, and social media is a dangerous thing to me. I asked T-Bone at Bone Collector one time. I said, T-Bone, I asked Waddell too, and I asked Nick Munt. They were all three with me one day in Nashville. I said, my daughter killed her first duck, and I put it on social media, and we're crying, me and this old man named Les and her. And I shouldn't even say old man. The dude's in better shape than I'll ever be. And I said, I feel weird about putting that on social media and seeing she's wearing Bandit, and there's a Benelli there, and there's this. And I'm like, I didn't do it for that, but I felt weird after the fact because I feel like after everything I just said to you and listened to you talk, that I feel as a community and as a country and as a people, we have lost our ability to hold what is sacred close to our heart because we think that people care that our daughter took her first step or that it's my mom's birthday. I saw one today. It's been 14 great years with this lovely woman. Let's all wish her a happy anniversary. Why does she care that me, a total stranger, wishes her a happy anniversary? I'm not saying that it's not okay. I'm just saying my opinion is that the sacredness of these experiences gets lost. I was at a concert the other night and I looked out in the crowd and it was this. And I'm like,
I know.
Y'all are here. You all are here. Like, why are we watching it through a 4-inch screen? Do you think somebody on YouTube or somewhere is going to be like, oh, show me that video again? No, nobody's going to care. We're missing life in front of us because nothing is held sacred anymore. So I asked T-Bone, I'm like, did I do wrong, T-Bone? He's like, heck no, brother. Heck no. I go, but I never put my daughter on social media. Man, this is what this culture is. This is what people have to see. And I'm like, I know, but it was so sacred to me.
Right.
And I had Remy there, and I had a film crew there. Don't get me wrong. We're documenting it because that's what we do. But when I saw it on social media, I was like, man, did I just ruin the moment? And they said I didn't. They said, absolutely, you did not. But for years now, 4 years, that hasn't, haunted would be a dramatic term, but it's always been in the back of my mind of, why didn't I just keep that between Alyssa and I? She didn't get called by Nickelodeon. Oh, hey, we saw your duck hunt. We want you to have a $2 million contract. Like, that's not what it was about. So when you say the top 10, and I'm sitting there looking at you, Mark, from across the Zoom screen, and I'm going, dude, I've had Zach Brown play chicken fried at a campfire after we shot a limit of mallards in the trees. I've had Chase Rice and Walker Bueller, who Walker Bueller is arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball, who you met.
Mm-hmm.
You've been in camp with us. I've had, and I don't want to name drop, but hunting again takes these quote unquote celebrities. I've watched Zach Brown. He just had his 14th in a row sellout at Fenway Park. At one year, he sold it out 3 nights in a row, and I went to all 3 nights. And Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, who's from Boston, got up and sang "Walk This Way" and "Love in an Elevator" with Zach Brown. And I'm like, I'm standing on stage, side stage, watching Zach Brown and Steven Tyler, a rock god and a country music genius, and it's because of a mallard duck. When you're in duck camp with Zach Brown, you don't know that he's won 14 Grammys and had 20 #1 hits.
Right.
He's on his knees going, "Did you see that? Did you see that? Chad, how did you make that note on the duck call? Gosh, dang it, I shot out in front of him. I was behind him. I felt myself. I didn't keep my muzzle moving through the shooting zone. I didn't spread my pattern." He's not even thinking that he's got the best song, Chicken Fried, in the last 2 decades. He's thinking, oh my gosh, these mallard ducks have got my number. This is the most amazing. Guys, did you see that? They're, Chad, right above it. And he's like, oh my gosh. It just brings us to our knees. So when you think about the power of the hunt, that dude's had standing ovations at the Opry, at the Ryman, at Fenway Park, you name it, he sold it out. And he's sitting there looking at the sky going, I don't know if I ever want to leave here. I don't know if I'll ever top this. He might kill 400-inch elk someday and be like, that was cool. That's awesome. I don't know if I'll ever top that now. And then the next year he's going to be like, oh my gosh, did you see that? That coyote just charged our critter decoy and da-da-da-da-da. That's the power of the hunt, that it takes these celebrities that, by the way, guys and girls out there, I watched Zach Brown at one time put his waders on, and he puts them on the exact same way that we do. Isn't that unbelievable? Like, that's crazy, right? I'm like, this guy must like jump up in the air and a bunch of people run in and hold his waders there and he falls into him and they strap. No, he's a human being, okay? We're all humans. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how many houses and private jets you've been on. I don't care. Hunting puts you in a space that when you're at that campfire with Zach Brown and Admiral Joe McGuire and Special Service Member Green Beret, I'll say, Mr. Scott Steer, and a janitor from McQueen High School, and a teacher from Little Rock, Arkansas, and a cancer survivor from Grant from Louisiana, and a Jim and Bo Hodges from NYPD, not one person at that campfire is a celebrity.
Yep.
They all have their story. They all have their walk of life and their upbringing. They all have their respect for their family and the outdoors, love for their children, their communities, their Second Amendment rights. They believe in that, and not one of them goes, you're on a different level than me. You're better than me. Mm-hmm. I don't feel as no, hunting brings us all and puts us on our knees and goes, all right, for this next 3 hours, y'all are mine. What happens now, this is my play. I'm Shakespeare. You're going to have an intro. You're going to have some rising action. And then all of a sudden, these ducks are going to flutter down these trees, and you're going to have a climax, and you're going to shoot, and then there's going to be some falling action when that dog's bringing them back, and then you're going to have a resolution of a hug and a handshake and a lifelong friendship. It's a Shakespearean play, yep. Mark. That's what hunting is. It like literally blows my mind that we get to experience this, and I can tell that right now you're probably going to go out today and be in the deer woods because it's getting ready to be that time in Wisconsin. And I promise you that sitting in that chair is the last place you want to do. But at least when you have conversation, you can think back about, oh my gosh, that day and night where we killed those mallards in Wisconsin and had that dinner at Joel Cleefish's house, who's a culinary genius. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Joel. I'm talking like, can it get any better? And when you say the top 10, I'm thinking, well, I've been with all these celebrities and they're not even close to my top 10. They're just normal human beings that love to hunt, mm-hmm. that love to be with their friends in duck camp or turkey camp or the deer woods or wherever. It's just an amazing lifestyle, my man.
Normal human beings with interesting and I guess at sometimes spectacular stories. Or then some of the stuff that we've talked about today. Paths that are incredibly hard for people to have to walk, that they shouldn't have to, but for some reason they did. And yet, no matter how different a person's path in life is, the hunt connects everybody in a very special and I'd say the same way. Like you and I could have stories that couldn't be more different. Heck, we do, right? We're completely different people, different lives, different whatever, right? But we get in the duck blind together, connected, like bam, like you couldn't be more the same.
That's a word I didn't use. That's a genius word, connected. It's just that for you to use the word connect, think about two things. When you're a kid, you play connect the dots, and there's a dot way over here, and there's a dot way over here. And by the end of the game, what do, Mark? Those dots get connected because that's the goal. Well, your goal in life should be able to connect with people. And that's what hunting does. And then you think about 6 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon, that game. Everything comes back 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon, okay? Mm-hmm. Well, think about that with hunting. Sooner or later, at hunting camp, you're going to find that connection that you're speaking of with that hunting. It might be because your grandpa's got you into it. Oh, we're connected through our grandpa. Whatever it is, you're going to find, that's a great word to say. It connects us. It connects our souls. Mm-hmm. Me and you, I could see you tomorrow at a Green Bay Packers game in Lambeau, wrapped up, freezing your butt off, and I see you, and we're going to be like, what's going on? What's up, buddy? We're going to hug. And we've only been around each other one time in life, and it was over a hunting trip. And we're going to do more, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But we're going to see each other, and we're going to go, we've connected for life. That's what it does, dude. That's a great word to use, connect. It connects us.
100%. And it's one of those connections, though, that it's like, holy mackerel, it's been a year. I guess, in the grand scheme of things, that's like a fairly significant amount of time. It doesn't feel like a year. Every time we talk now, it doesn't feel like a year. It's one of those relationships where, the folks where you pick up the phone, it could be 5 years, and it's like it was yesterday. You know what I mean? It's so, yeah, we talk about, people often talk about hunting like, oh, man, I can't wait to get out and disconnect, right? And I guess in some ways you are. Oftentimes you disconnect from electronics if you can put your phone down and quit filming things or texting people, which I'm guilty of. But man, you're connecting though, man. You're connecting with yourself. You're connecting with nature. You're connecting with clarity about how you want. Maybe you want to be a better dad or something like that, man. Or other people, the people that you're with, man. You are connecting. You are your soul. Your soul. You are connecting your soul, man. It's like plugging your soul in. I don't know, man. It's pretty special stuff.
It is. I agree. I like that word, and I think that people need to. They don't need to. You don't have to do it, but if you get the opportunity. I think that we need to vote with less emotion. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about judging, critiquing, because in today's age of social media where we're all influencers and we're all ambassadors and we're all critics all of a sudden, like you put up a duck recipe and just because it's not suited towards your taste, you don't tear it down. You think, man, well, maybe that could be all right. How do you tear it down without tasting it? Don't be such a critic all the time. I used to listen to Siskel and Ebert. Again, I'm older than you. They'd give it thumbs up or thumbs down. I'd still go see the movie and judge for myself. So I think that in today's world where we're all critics, we do have to take that time to sit down and ask ourselves, what are we truly in this for? Are you looking for the like? Are you looking for your reel to have this many views? Are you looking for somebody to tell you that you're good at something? Or are you looking to connect with somebody? And I think that we've lost our ability to connect in so many ways. You go into a restaurant at lunch, bro. When I was working construction back in 2003, before we started, 2008 we started the Fowl Life. So about those 7 years out of college, 1999 to 2007, I go to lunch every day with contractors, superintendents, construction managers, estimators. You never saw. We had Nextel. Remember the press to talk deals? You're probably too young to do that, but it was like a walkie-talkie and a cell phone mixed in one.
No, I delivered furniture for a little bit, man. That we had those. They're pretty sweet.
So you go into your favorite restaurant now at lunch. There's not much conversation going on across the table. It's like an excuse for us to catch up on what we missed on Twitter and Fox News that morning and Instagram. Well, I put it on whogivesayouknowwhat.com. Like, we need to connect more. We need to converse more. We're missing the authenticity and sacredness of what we should be valuing, in my opinion. Again, people can say, you're full of it. And again, like what you just said, Mark, I'm just as guilty. But I don't want to be that person. I want to make more of an effort of make a challenge to your listeners. I've done this before. Try to go 60 minutes when you wake up and open your eyes in the morning. 60 minutes. Without touching your phone. Okay, if you use your phone for your alarm, I'll give you that 1 second to tap the alarm button. But go 60 minutes without text, IG, TikTok, Facebook Face, any of them. News, updates, I don't care. Email, anything. Well, I live on the West Coast and I do a lot of business on the East Coast. So when I wake up at 6, it's already 9. So I got to make sure 60 minutes. Go outside with your dog with a cup of coffee, find a creek or a waterfall and listen to the sounds. Look at your backyard, look at the mountains, look at the sunrise. Do something. Challenge yourself. 60 minutes. Don't touch your phone. I bet you that you can't do it. It's that hard.
It's that hard.
People put their feet on the ground. They're like, oh, got to check out the world. I'm like, wait a minute. What about some breathing and meditation and mind clarity and figuring out, like, how about some exercise? Do some jumping jacks and some push-ups. Get your breathing going. Get your diaphragmic breathing. What's that word? Diaphragmic breathing. But do something besides get on your phone. Just challenge yourself. It can't be done. It's so hard.
It is.
Because we've been conditioned. Even like you said, we go out to set up decoys and you're like, well, I got to use my phone for my light. I'm going to check real quick and get an update on my story. Here's a little video I'm going to put on there. We're like geared towards everybody's got to know everything we're doing at any given time. So look, I want to say this real quick. I've talked a lot today and I apologize, but we're supposed to talk about how to kill Canada geese. I got off on this tangent about what it's done to me internally to see these geese do what they do and the stories and the aftermath that has come through these hunts. And I absolutely love the strategy part of hunting. So I don't know what your time frame's like. I'm just saying, if you'll have me back, I love to also talk about scouting and forecasting and weather and barometric pressure and storms and snow line. I love to talk about sunshine as opposed to low ceiling and overcast and cloudy and UV rays. I love to talk about paint on decoys and decoy spreads and motion in your decoy. I love to talk about kill holes and blinding and concealment and natural vegetation and guns and shotguns and ammo and calling. I love vocalizations. If you can't tell how much I talk, I love to call Canada geese and mallard ducks and coyotes and wild turkeys and Rocky Mountain elk. Calling and the jargon, the specialized vocabulary amongst a group of people or animals is so important to me, of being intimate, again, authentic and legitimate and intimate with the wild animal. When I see mallard ducks break down from 1,000 yards in the sky when I'm yelling at them and Joel Wicker's on his cut down call and Chris Cifrio's and all of a sudden, boom, and they just start descending. And I can do that all day. Like, I'm calling ducks in my head. I'm crazy. I'm stupid about it. I'm calling, I'm trying to come up with different sounds. I'm trying to emulate that vocabulary, because intimacy, whether you're with your wife, your girlfriend, your brother, your friend at lunch, the intimacy of a conversation, the art of conversing, the art of negotiation, Mark, me and you sitting across this table, we're negotiating. I am negotiating with those Canada geese. You're doing this, I'm going to say this. You're doing this, I'm not going to say this. I'm going to flag a little bit. Okay, I'm negotiating for you. So one thing that I would tell the viewers, and if you'll have me back, we'll talk about killing Canada geese. But keep in mind what you're saying to Canada geese. And here's what I'm going to say. Are they birds of a feather that flock together? Or do they hate each other and they're talking smack all the time? Because on the ground, they got their wings up and they're beating at each other. If you listen to them, and when they get close to one, they shake their head at them, and they try to get him off that feed source. Mating season, they got different sounds to attract them. They mate for life, people say, scientists and biologists say. So really, again, I'm older, so you picture the Michael Jackson Beat It video. It's two gangs that come together in a parking garage. Beat it, and they're about coming face to face. One of them's like, all right, we're going to lose. I'm going to walk away. The other one isn't satisfied with that. They say, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Go back home. That's what I thought. The other ones are like, whoa, now I'm ticked. I'm coming back. So then they turn and they come back. So I always picture myself in a gang fight with Canada geese. I'm talking smack. I'm saying, get out of here. We woke up earlier. We found this food source. If you come down here, we're fighting. Those geese in the air, we're coming. We're coming, make room, and that geese on the ground. You better get out of here. This ain't going to be pretty for you. Those geese on the ground go, wow, maybe they're serious. I don't want to get in a fight with them guys. They look tough down there. Look at that girl down there. She's got a leather jacket on. She looks like she's ready to brawl. Boom, they turn around, and then people are like, well, this is called a comeback call. No, I look at this is when I'm really getting on. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. What's up? What's up? And boom, they're like, They turn around. I'm coming back. Now you're in for it. Now we're fighting. Now they back flap. They're coming to brawl. It's Mike Tyson coming into the ring. Custom Auto and Kevin Rooney are leading him. He's got the white tail on and the black boots like Rocky Marciano, and they're coming to fight. Michael Buffer's getting ready to announce it in this corner, and boom, they back flap into the decoys. Get them, boys. Surprise attack, and now you're shooting them. That's what I picture Canada geese like. I don't look at it like, hey, the water's fine. Come down here and dip your toes. See, come on, come on. Now, ducks, they might be a little bit more friendly, but if you watch mallard ducks or snow geese, Canada geese, when they get together, they are the last thing from friendly. They are jumping over each other. They're walking through each other. They're impatient. They're rude. They're knocking each other over to get to the front of that feed line. That's why snow goose hunting, you always, lead them up to the front of the feed. They skip over all of that, the stuff that's not being very, not much food on the ground, and they try to land up here. There's a lot of strategy that goes in how you place your decoys to get them to come. And I'd love to go over all that with you, but I wanted your listeners to keep in mind, think outside the box. If somebody's doing it this way down the road, well, maybe do something else. Be a melting pot like America is. Be a sponge and come up with your own strategy by listening to guys like Mark or myself or Fred Zink or anybody. There's so much content out there, man. Come up with your own strategy. And the number one thing is don't be a know-it-all and figure out a way to be confident, but don't have an ego. There's a lot of 12-year-old kids in Arkansas that would mop me up with a single reed J-frame Arkansas style duck call, like make me look dumb. So I never go into a hunt going, yep, everybody put their calls away. The greatest caller in the world is here. No, I am average at best. At best, when you go down and you get around a bunch of good duck callers. So lose that part of it and just go into it being like, I'm going to learn something today. I'm going to let the birds teach me something today. I'm going to have great conversation. And I'm going to freaking know that this hunt is going to bring me a lifetime of stories and memories. And then the rest will take care of itself. If you can find that, your passion will grow. And what's that going to bring? It's going to bring this undeniable willingness to learn. You're going to want to know, what is he doing with that flag? What does he emulate? That looks like a kite. What is he doing? Why are they at that? You're going to ask questions and you're going to learn. And if you don't think you need to learn, these birds will humble you and they'll beat you on a daily basis. If you want your success rate to go up, be a sponge, be coachable, be teachable, have a lot of humility. And I'm telling you, you will just sit there and go, wow, I learned something today. I took something out of the field. We only killed 2 geese, but I learned something. Tomorrow I'm going to apply that and I'm going to see if I do better and just keep building on it. And then, if you ever have me on again, which your producer's probably going, he said enough today for 5 podcasts. I get that. I apologize. But if you have me back on, I would love to go over strategy of how you get birds close, because in my opinion, there is nothing stronger. Again, a deer walking under your tree stand, a turkey gobbling at 15 yards. It's all awesome. But when mallard ducks and Canada geese do it right, I've never felt that way in my life. I'll say this, even being in the delivery room for my daughter, Alyssa, I still didn't have the feelings I do when I see mallard ducks do it right. I hope I don't get chastised for that. But it was, and I love Alyssa. Alyssa's my world. But mallard ducks and Canada geese and specks and waterfowl, snows in the springtime, they blow my mind every day. And I'd love to come back and talk strategy if you'll have me.
Absolutely, man. No, we'll have to do it. I mean, obviously we talked a lot today, and we talked about, in my opinion, a lot of really important things and good reminders and things to be thinking about what is important. And I'm not going to say that, tactics and, learning how to get them and getting them isn't important, because those things are, right? But just, really enjoyed the conversation, Chad, today. And I think sometimes it takes having a conversation like that, to keep you grounded, to remind you what's important in life. And also, the reasons at the core of why we do go out there, and there really are so many. And next time we talk, we're going to talk about how to get them.
Yeah, I'd love to. And again, I apologize if we went in a different route, but I agree. I think it's important. And if anybody wants to hit us up with any questions at info@thefowllife.com, or you can get a hold of us through Mark and the team at Vortex. I have a lot of how-tos out there, but I'd love to come back on and just talk strategy. I think it's for my learning in the waterfowl world, came from mentors like the great Fred Zink in Port Clinton, Ohio, and Tim Grounds and other individuals I can keep naming. And I always wanted to learn. I mean, I'm known for being that, if you can't tell, that persistent guy. I would call Phil Robertson almost every day to have him listen to my duck call. I go, Mr. Phil, hey, it's Belding from the desert. He talked to me. He was my friend. Way before Duck Dynasty.
Yeah.
I'd call Tim Grounds. Hey, bub, he'd answer me. Johnson City, Illinois, down there by Crab Orchard in southern Illinois. I said Illinois. Hey, bub. And I go, Tim, I got this new note. He couldn't tell the sound of my note over the phone.
Yeah.
He couldn't tell, but he was generous with his time. Go ahead, bub, let me hear it. And that taught me that the heart of the hunter, listen, be an advocate, be an instructor, be a mentor. And now it's our turn to give back. So yeah, I love to talk about what we know or what we've learned. And by the way, we never quit learning. Tomorrow when we go hunting, I'm going to be like, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I think about the shadows? Why didn't I think about the overhang of this tree? Why didn't I put my blind over there? Why didn't I use better lighting in the morning because everything looks different in the dark? Why did I miss that? Why didn't I think about that last night on my checklist? Come on, Chad, think. You got to think. Hunting is a thinking man, thinking women's game. If you refuse to think and you think that you're just the best caller and you're going to get them anyway, wrong again. It ain't happening. You got to think. You got to adapt. You have to overcome. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to get up and say, hey, guys, this isn't working like we did with the decoys that day. You can't be lazy. You got to be thinking. You got to be a worker. You got to have a work ethic, and the success will come. Don't take it for granted. Fly the flag of being a hunter like our good friend, mutual friend Remy Warren says. This is a privilege. It's also our right to hunt, but it's also a privilege. So think about that when you're posting your pictures. Be cognitive of that. Be respectful and compassionate to that animal. I don't want to see another video of a coyote suffering in a snare trap. I don't want to see snow geese being thrown out of a truck like they're cordwood. They already went through hell that day by taking a chest full of BBs at 15 yards. Let's give them respect and show people that, hey, they've given up their life. This is what we're doing now. We're cleaning them this way. Let's have a compassion for these animals and showcase this lifestyle in the right way. And I think that that'll get more people interested and back them in by saying, hey, try this. This is wild turkey. No way that it was. Yes, it is. How did you get that turkey? Oh, I was on the Sacramento River in a boat, and we were going down the river, and we were trying to sneak up, and our boat accidentally hit this rock, and the turkey, I can't gobble very good, Mark, but we just climbed up softly. We put our decoy out there. Then we started doing this in call. He comes in, he struts around, he's all fanned out, and he's gobbling his head off, and his head stretched out. And they're going, I want to go. Back them in with the food. Get them over for a wild game meal. Talk about hunting. Show them some pictures. Tell them a story. Show them the fun you have with your kids and your uncle and your nephews or your nieces. And then say, let's get your hunter safety. Let's go. Be a mentor. Try to get somebody new in the outdoors at least one time a year. And I think that we'll be strong as a hunting community. We're a strong community now, and I want to continue to get it stronger. And with companies and brands like Vortex preaching this on a daily basis, I think that we're on the right path, my man, Mark.
Awesome, man. Nope, I love it, Chad. Appreciate the time and the conversation. And it's just, as per usual, it's always a good one. So, yeah, genuinely appreciate it. Thank you to everybody for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did and got as much out of it as I did. And, yeah, we teased it up with a little bit of some really actually sound goose information, goose hunting information, waterfowl information at the tail end there, Chad. And until next time, happy hunting and shooting.
There you have it, folks. Thank you very much for listening. As usual, give this video a like if you liked it, comment something below, and give us a subscribe to the Vortex Nation podcast channel. It would mean a lot to us. Also, why don't you give us a follow over on Instagram while you're at it, at Vortex Nation Podcast. We'd love to hear from you over there, and we'll keep you updated with all kinds of cool photos and videos from our adventures that we do here. Otherwise, we will see you on the next one. Thank you again. Happy hunting and shooting, everybody. Have a good one.